No response. Yeah, good. All right, good afternoon, or good morning, everybody. I'm presenting, together with Associate Professor Koraljka Golub, I will be presenting data-intensive digital humanities. I am Professor Mikko Laitinen, and I'm a professor of English linguistics here at ENOS University, and the PI for the digital humanities, the data-intensive digital humanities component. The first logical question, what is digital humanities? It's the application of new computational tools and methods and systems for basic research, for basic and applied research in humanities and social sciences. We as in humanities, we want to be part of this digital revolution. So when we talk about humanities, the social sciences, we talk of disciplines such as sociology, social psychology, linguistics, or study of languages or various languages, political sciences, etc. What do we do in digital humanities? We make use of these state-of-the-art computational methods and technologies for collecting, managing, analyzing, and data mining, and mining data. I'll give one example, and then Koraljka will also expand on this from the perspective of education and societal relevance. In this component, we can be divided into 5 different sub-identities. On the one hand, we do basic research in various disciplines. In this basic research, we make use of visualization experts. We also make use of technical expertise from computer sciences. Indeed, the entire endeavor here, why we're here, actually started out from our collaboration with Welf Löwe roughly a year and a half ago, when we presented a concrete question that, okay, we need your assistance. We have a research question that we want to do. We can't do it alone, so please help us, or please connect us with people who could help us. Those are the technical expertise. We also already collaborate with external partners, that is to say, companies and municipal organizations and so on. Koraljka will expand on this. And that collaboration takes place in the the Digital Humanities Initiative at the university level. So now let me give you one example of basic research that we do. Now I have a same problem with the microphone here as the previous speaker. I'm a linguist, as I said. I'm in English linguistics. I'm in English linguistics, and I'm interested in language in all its forms. I'm interested in how do we create meaning, and how are sentences formed, and what is meaning, for instance, and what happens in interaction. Big data and language, they go hand in hand. Because, I mean, of course, we as humans, we are the producers of big data. When we communicate, we speak and we write and we communicate, we send messages and gestures and so on. So we asked the question, our initial question that sparked our contact with computer scientists is that, what if we could analyze language in a really, really, really big scale? Like, for instance, asking questions that, what if we could analyze, for instance, what people in Sweden talk about in public? We have strict ethical guidelines in this, in the sense that we only focus on macro level patterns. We're not interested in you, we're not interested in you, we're not interested in people within a very, very close geographic borders. But we could use this information, this massive database, to answer questions that have broad societal relevance. For instance, we could ask questions of, how do we, what's the relationship between language and thought? What's the public sentiment? What are consumer trends? What kinds of consumer trends are emerging and so on? And we as linguists, we possess tools to analyze this. I mean, we know how to analyze texts. We need collaboration with computer scientists to provide us the text and maybe also some expertise in data mining. But then, with this collaboration, we're able to analyze big and very complex data sets. So this is in a visual format. So let's say that someone is interested in public sentiment. First of all, we need data. We need computer scientists to do that. Data becomes evidence when it's put into a database, and then we need linguistic competence to analyze, or we need linguists to analyze this particular data set so that we could maybe answer a question of, okay, what is a public sentiment? Our big language dataset consists of what we call the Nordic Tweet Stream Initiative. It is a robot. It's been designed by Professor Jonas Lundberg, whom I don't see here this morning. But it's a monitor corpus. A corpus for us is a technical term for a very large database. And what we do is that we collect and stream geocoded tweets from 5 Nordic countries, not only Sweden, but Finland, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland as well. It offers this particular initiative, we use the abbreviation NTS for that, it offers us a nearly real-time window to the world. That is to say that I can basically access the tweet stream from yesterday. It's user-generated content. It's by normal people, by those who tweet. And of course, we know from research in sociology and so on that, the tweet stream in general, it tends to be skewed towards the younger generation and also towards male population. But keeping this limitation in mind, we can say that, okay, well, we have a fairly representative view, real-time window to what people actually talk in public, in the real life. So, as I said, and I wanted to highlight this, we would not have been able to do this alone. Nor would the computer scientists. I mean, they would have been able to create that, but of course, I think we can pinch in, we as linguists and humanities, we can pinch in to help in the analysis. Some basic statistics this is from last Thursday. We've got a tweet count somewhere within 8 million tweets, 75 million words. And to put this into a perspective, an average people produces, when we talk face to face, we produce roughly 5,000 words, 5,000 to 6,000 words an hour. A textbook, 200-page textbook contains roughly 100,000 words. Now, 75 million words, I mean, that's a lot of material. That's something which is beyond the capabilities of manual scanning. We need technical tools to scan that. We've got the number of informants that we've got. We've got data from roughly 200,000 accounts. They're not users exactly, but they're accounts. And we've got very rich data set there. In addition to being relatively big, it's not the biggest text corpora that there are in the US, for instance. We've got corpora that are 500 million words and so on. So this is from a corpus linguistic perspective, even though it's relatively, for us it's big, it's sort of roughly it's a biggish data, so to speak. But the point being is that we add material daily. It's a sort of a real-time window. So what can we do with that? I mean, beyond the public sentiment. I mean, public sentiment is a wonderfully sort of a simple and illustrative example. But what can we do with this kinds of material? We know, for instance, that, or we project that we will be able to use this material to, for instance, identify individuals who act as bridges. Those who are the early adopters of innovation. How can we do it? Well, because the data is not only big, but it's rich. That is to say, we've got access to a number of metadata points in the material. One of the metadata points is, for instance, how many ties do we have? You know, if we have 200,000 individuals, can we say that some of these people have more social ties than the others? We know from sociology that again, you know, from other fields like sociology, we know that there are certain criteria for people who are early adopters. Those who always buy the newest gadgets and you know, who always go for the trends. We know that they have to fulfill, they typically fulfill certain type of criteria when it comes to network ties. And by the way, the tweet stream wonderfully gives us access to a couple of these metadata points, or these metadata parameters. So our point is that we have, at our use, we have massive and rich data set. We are still at the very early stages. You know, this is, you know, if we try to visualize 200,000 individuals, this is actually, you know, 199,000 dots, or points of observation on this scale. What we have is data on two axes. The y-axis shows how innovative a person is. You don't have to know what the variable actually is, but it shows the higher one goes on the scale, the more innovative one is. And on the x-axis, we have one social parameter. That is to say, in this case, we have number of online friends. The more friends you have, the more towards the right you are on the scale. And by the way, this is a logarithmic scale. So this, you know, what we see is exponential growth here. So our point, I'm not going to go into much detail of this, but this shows some of the benefits and some of the possibilities in using this material. But now I give floor to Cora to talk about pedagogical and societal relevance of this work at the university level.
Yeah. Thank you, Mikko. Can you hear me? Is this all right? Yeah, it's on. Right. Well, I will be talking about this through the perspective of the Digital Humanities Initiative at ENOS University, which was started in February this year, where the aim was to establish the niche for ENOS University in digital humanities in Nordic countries and beyond. And what we have been working on is several major things. One is building a network of cross-sectoral and international partners that today numbers 100 people, including 20 non-academic representatives. We have universities and non-universities spread around 13 countries and 4 continents. We have also been the first Swedish university to have joined Daria EU, the largest network of excellence and infrastructure on digital humanities, which also has a strong focus on cross-sectoral collaboration and infrastructures, and are now leading developments towards Nordic hub of Daria EU. Last month, we have also had the first international conference on digital humanities, where representatives of the public sectors were also present, both with presentations and participation. Of concrete projects, we had very limited funding. What we did do was 8 pilot projects in 3 major areas: digital storytelling and in entertainment, interactive visualization, and humanities and open data curation. More about them can be read at our working space on my Moodle. But just to see some examples, PAIR was a project dealing with Växjö Kommun and Media Technology Department on augmented reality for public engagement. So it was a mobile app connected to Twitter for public surveys. A digital storytelling with Smålands Musikarkiv and the Fria Ordets Hus. Data curation needs were examined for Växjö Kommun with LNU Library and the University Library. Curation needs for humanities data were researched, and others can be looked at the website. When it comes to engaging companies, we are currently working on an Erasmus Plus proposal with On Spot Story company from Stockholm together with the Krakow National Museum, on engaging young adults to interact with museum holdings and create their own galleries, as well as assign comments, social tags, and so on. We are also exploring collaboration with companies working in the GLAM sector, and I'd be very interested to talk to any one of you. I mean, we do humanities. Humanities doesn't always sell well on the market, but the digital part does. So I'm very happy to talk to you more about that. So our long-term vision is to establish a leading education development and research regional center. And this is why we are creating also a master proposal, which we hope we could create in collaboration with the external sector as well. So we could send students to do thesis in problems that you have, for example. And we would like to reuse the expertise that we already have to create new, but also to affirm the value of the humanities, in particular in the general public. 2 days ago, we got funding for 2 new projects that grew out of digital humanities. One is done together with Nia Småland from Kalmar, developing attractive information landscapes for the mapping of cultural events using web technologies. And the other one is creating a unique iSchool at ENOS University together with data sciences and digital humanities, but also other disciplines and initiatives that work with data, information, and knowledge. And as part of that, building a suite of master programs, maybe 5, maybe 10, would be one of the major aims. I will moderate myself and stop here. And I would also like to ask all other colleagues that we have in this digital humanities work package if they could briefly introduce themselves.
I'm Magnus Levin. I'm an English linguist, just like Mikko. I'm Mikko Light, I would say.
Okay, my name is Anneli Ekelin, and I'm working at the Department of Media and Communication. And the communication aspects is interesting also in relation to digitalization, of course. So that's my contribution. I'm interested in also in public sector's development of and use of open data and policy making concerning digitalization. Thank you.
I'm Giangiacomo Bravo, professor in social sciences, and actually I'm interested in all computational aspects related to social sciences, so in general, and environmental issues in particular.
Ilir Yusufi again from Media Technology. So I'm providing some consultancy and expertise in visualization for this project.
Thank you.
You may know me from different now, like one of the Simpsons characters. Marcelo Milrad again. I'm involved in this, quite heavily involved with Cora, leading this digital humanities initiative, and one of the goals is to try to find this challenge of combining different methodologies between the engineering side and the humanities part to explore new ways of tackling relevant problems. And I think it's quite a long-term challenge. And I think it's quite relevant for many of the people here, coming from the public sector, the mass media. So when we come to questions, I will challenge you too. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have a few other colleagues who are not with us today, but please, questions?
I have a question for Mikko and the others. When you analyze these tweets, you said you can analyze if they are up to date and so on. But I wonder, do you know anything about what kind of persons? How do you know from what areas they are? Can you know anything about age or sex or things like that?
Can you hear me? Well, each tweet comes with 50 or so different parameters, background variables. Some of them have been input by a user themselves. And of course, those are sort of suspect cases, because we know from other areas in internet-based communication or sort of internet communication, that we tend to assume identities, maybe different identities online than in real life. So those are the suspect background variables. Luckily for us is that each tweet comes with either geolocation information, which is automatically assigned by the service provider. Similarly, it comes with parameters that that are related to the account activity. For instance, the number of friends, online friends that a person has. You can't really, you can fake that up to a point that, there are certain types of accounts which try to generate as many friends as possible and not be friends with the others, for instance. But we can easily sort of spot them in the, or see them in the data. So as for your answer to your question is that, well, we have access to 50 or so background variables. Some of them are more reliable than the others, but unfortunately for us, we don't have any, gender, for instance, is not part of the background variables. But luckily for us, location, geolocated tweets, they come with GPS coordinates. So basically, it is possible to zoom into anything as small as, for instance, this building, and get access to the tweet stream from this building, for instance.
I know that you're working together with companies like Meltwater, who have business offerings in this area. Is there any added value to the offerings that come already at an industrial quality? So what is, so to say, your contribution on top of what you can get there?
That is a good question, and again, in a sense, we have the basic. We go basic research first, but we are open for suggestions, for collaboration, and we would definitely want to collaborate. Unfortunately, Jonas Lundberg couldn't be here, but yesterday he presented a wonderful case study of using Twitter material to predict, let's say, political events or election results and so on. And I think these kinds of points of collaboration could be fruitful in the future, and we would very much want to see collaboration with either sort of a private or public sector.